My name is Paul Salazar. I'm one of the VPs here at ABC Education Group, and I'm happy to be hosting this webinar in a series of webinars that ABC typically hosts. And I want to give a big thank you to our marketing department, both of our Marias and Daniela, for putting these together. I think these are extremely helpful for a lot of our partner agents around the world to understand not only our boarding school partners, but also some of our programs and some of the actual events that we host. And for today, I'm happy to be promoting and explaining the benefits of both of our fam trips as well as our boarding school convention that we host every year. Speaking of that, let me see if I can move. In general, I just want to shine some light on some of the ABC services that we offer from not only our boarding schools with some of our specific programs that offer discount packages like our scholarship or our scholars program, fast track programs, which I'm sure we're going to have some additional training on that, but I can touch on that during this actual webinar. From our F1 homestay programs, our boarding school programs that we run, our college counseling, as well as our UK products with our UK Select and Classic Young Learners program and the immersion programs that's designed for 7 to 18-year-olds with offices that we have both in Boston and London. I feel like ABC is what I always like to say is a one-stop shop. For a lot of our partners around the world, you can work with ABC, and we offer pretty much everything under the sun for you to successfully and more accurately provide excellent services to your families and potential students. Just a little bit about me. So as I mentioned, I'm one of the VPs here at the company. I used to work at a boarding school myself for many years. So I feel like I bring an interesting perspective because I've seen how these boarding schools work on their side as well as the commercial side. I've worked at a boarding school for many years before moving over and starting another international education company. And I don't want to take too much time on this, but for me, more than a few years ago, my team and I were really looking to head in another direction. And we had a lot of different options in front of us, but I think it was fate that I got introduced to ABC Education Group. And once I met the folks here at the company, I thought to myself, this is the dream team of folks that I want to be working with. So a couple of years ago, the company that I had started merged with ABC Education Group. And I feel like I never looked back ever since then. The caliber of folks at this company and the combined experience that we have, I think is unparalleled. And it only helps to serve our partner agents around the world, offering some of the most exclusive education products that you really can't find anywhere else. So I'm very happy that we can do this. I'm very happy that we can provide these incredible opportunities to you and your families. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into this. So first, I want to discuss the benefits of the fam trip, and then we'll end off the presentation discussing the benefits of the convention. Let's go. So the first question is, some of you may know what is a fam trip. Others may already know what this is. But I think for a lot of folks, you think of a fam trip, you think of, wow, I get to travel through the United States. I get to see some amazing monuments like the Statue of Liberty, or I can go down to Manhattan and go to Times Square and this and that. That is an incredible experience for you as an agent to understand the U.S. in general. But it's a lot more than that, right? You get to go to IHOP, you get to go to Denny's. But more seriously than that, a fam trip, I think, it's an amazing opportunity for you to experience firsthand the academic as well as the social culture of the boarding schools to better understand what a life-changing option this is. And it only serves to help you better recommend options to your families. To see these schools firsthand is an amazing thing for you to gain a much deeper understanding of what makes these schools tick and what makes them so different than another boarding school. We all know boarding school options, boarding schools in general, are a very unique program. And they're designed to be so. They're custom tailored. There are schools designed for a very specific type of student. And so to understand these, is giving this kid the best opportunity to learn and to grow and to set them on a track for success for the rest of their lives. So we can give some quick bullet points on why these fam trips are so important. Experiencing the campus firsthand, meeting the admissions team, getting a knowledge to help guide families to the better option, and to connect with other agents that you're traveling with. Now, I want to go deeper into detail on these benefits and explain a little bit more on why this is important for you as the agent. But this is a general overview of how of what these benefits actually are. First, I want to say ABC has been doing these for a very long time. More than that, the folks at ABC, the employees here, we have been doing this for an even longer time. So we're very well versed on how this is done. Just for you to know, as on a fam trip, ABC staff takes care of everything, all of the logistics. We plan out the travel, we plan out the meals, we plan out the hotels. So really, that takes a lot of stress off of your shoulder as the agent. You're there for the experience of the boarding schools. You really don't have to worry about anything else. So that's an incredible experience within itself. We also build in some cultural moments. I think that's just as important for you to understand, especially in the areas where the boarding schools are, to understand the surroundings and what opportunities are there. Because we all know schools or the families are going to ask, well, you recommend this school? Okay, well, what's there to do around the area? What's there to do on the weekends? And so for you to experience some of these cultural landmarks around where we're visiting these schools, I think is just as important as visiting the schools oftentimes. Um, I think overall, a lot of the agents afterwards, with a lot of the opportunities that we offer, uh, I think agents come back and say this is the best bang for their buck. This is, I think, one of the most valuable experiences an agent can have, and we take pride in that. When an agent comes back and tells us that this is one of the most valuable experiences that they can have, that's an important thing. And it takes some time and dedication. Take some time out of your schedule to travel and to go visit some of these campuses. But it's well worth it, and it only boosts your knowledge of the actual market. In the past, we usually do a couple different routes, right? We do the New England route where we can explore schools in Massachusetts and Maine. There's also the New York, Virginia route where it's much more what we call the Mid-Atlantic region. There's a lot of schools in that area. And we like to do the California route. And normally there's plenty of schools that we can visit along that route. In the past, we've done 20 school visits overall in visiting 8 different states across the United States. So a little bit more on the benefits. What I think is really interesting, and what a lot of agents may not always realize, is this is a great opportunity for you to boost your own brand, right? To be on campus, you can utilize your own media, social media channels, right? A lot of agents go on campus, they're live streaming on their Instagram or their Facebook or their TikTok. A lot of the times you can do interviews with local high school staff. A lot of times you can do some interaction with the local students there. That is a powerful tool for you to use, right? When your competition down the road is showing brochures and polished videos on the website, you're publishing videos of actually being on campus, and your credit goes up much higher, right? A family's going to trust your opinion on whether that's a school is going to be a good fit because you're there, you're experiencing the atmosphere, you're talking with the students, you're talking with the actual staff. That is a big boost on your own company's image and your own company's brand. I think that's an incredible thing to do, and we always urge our agents to capture some of these to capture this content and to collaborate with ABC staff as well as the school staff. Our experience coming to these schools, because these schools also view this as an incredible experience. They tend to roll out the red carpet when you come on campus. They're more than happy to show you the facilities on campus. They're more than happy to have the students present their own experiences or to do a show or something like that for you. And they also like to do a reception oftentimes. So you can experience not only seeing the facilities, but you can experience the cafeteria, what the food is like. Oftentimes you're meeting the headmaster. So you're putting yourself in the shoes of the student. You're experiencing it yourself. And what is even, I think, more interesting is a lot of our agents come with their own perception, right? If you're coming from markets in Europe or markets in Latin America, you know the very specific needs and wants of your own market and your own clientele. And for you to be on campus and you're capturing this information, whether knowingly or subconsciously, you are presenting that through the lens of what your market is looking at. And that only helps us better understand what you guys are looking for, and it helps the school understand what your market is looking for as well. So, that's something we like to remind our agents as we're visiting campuses is to take advantage of this and leverage the fact that you're on campus. A little bit more on the benefits here. Just the fact that you're traveling around with ABC staff, you are developing a much more a strong bond between ABC staff and between yourself, and more than that, with school staff as well. My philosophy always in this industry is people do business with people that they trust and that they like, especially internationally. So if we can build that foundation of trust between ourselves, that only strengthens the industry overall. And you're spending a lot of time with us, and it helps us better understand what you're looking for, and helps you better understand how we function through not only our boarding schools, but function through our application process and whatnot. Traveling around with other agencies. In any given time, as we're traveling through a fam trip, we have agencies from Asia, we have agencies from Europe, oftentimes from Latin America. And so spending that time together, you're gaining some interesting insight just through organic discussion with some of these other agencies on what the trends are, what works well in those markets. And, it may be an aha moment, right? Where the light kind of comes on and you think, well, geez, well, maybe that works in my market. Maybe I'll try this. So we always like to encourage, again, to take advantage not of only of visiting these boarding schools, but take advantage of the fact that you have other agencies traveling with you. And there's a lot of knowledge that they hold, and there's a lot of knowledge that you hold. So we like to see some collaboration on that front as well. Let's go to the next slide here. Let's see. So I think to go a little bit more into detail about getting firsthand knowledge of the school, for me, coming from a boarding school, there's some things that you just cannot convey through videos or through brochures or any other pamphlets. And I always explain this to families when they came to visit the boarding school I was working at. There's a soft landing, and then there's other schools that are designed for students who are a little bit more competitive. One is not better than the other. And I think by explaining this, you guys may know what I'm talking about, right? There are schools that are soft landings. And for me, that means, students who are hardworking, they're smart, but it's much more of a soft environment once they get to the school, right? They're helpful. It's a school where they feel comfortable, where they feel quote unquote at home. And that's a great environment to be in at a boarding. And there's a lot of boarding schools like that. On the other hand, there are other boarding schools where it's a lot more competitive, right? In a positive way. It's more competitive. But for a student who needs maybe a little bit more TLC, a little bit more love and caring, maybe a really highly competitive school, maybe not a school for them, right? They may be drowned out a little bit. Now, that's really difficult to understand through pamphlets or through brochures or even talking with schools oftentimes, right? And this is something that you can witness yourself, and you can make up your mind. As if you have a student who does need a soft landing, you may think to yourself, this is the school for them, right? This is a better fit for them. They're going to be happier, and they're going to be able to grow and mature at a much better pace at this school versus another one. So I think that's an important thing to learn once you're on campus. Not only that, but I also think pedagogy is a big one. Again, that's something you may not always get from traveling around or from looking at school brochures. But by going on campus, you can witness firsthand how these classrooms are ran. You can witness firsthand how the students learn in the classroom, how the pedagogy is enabled on these campuses, and that's really important as well. Some schools say, "Well, we're hands-on, we're project-based learning." Other schools say we're more traditional, and those are great, but those are overall themes. But if you're on campus and you can see truly how the school is ran, that also gives you some very important insight on whether or not a student's going to learn well at that school. So I think that's an important one. Again, these are giving you opportunities that you cannot get anywhere else other than being on campus yourself. But you're putting yourself in the student's position. And what I also think is really interesting, and this could be bad or good, right? Oftentimes for the school, but you're witnessing authentic, unscripted, organic moments with the students when you're having conversations with the students, or just seeing the students interact, right? These are what I say, warts and all. You're seeing how the school really is without a video of them taking 30 different takes to make a very polished video. Those are really pretty and everything, but to be on campus and you're seeing these unscripted, organic moments, I think is really eye opening for you, and it shows you the honest truth of how these schools are. So just to end off on these fam trips, so there is a free participation option. So for any agents who are sending and have successfully enrolled 6 students through ABC Education Group and our partner schools, you'll receive a fully sponsored trip, a participation on a fam trip. That's including all the flights and all the expenses that are associated with this. Now, there's also another option where if you enroll at least 3 students through ABC Education Group, you'll get a complimentary accommodation. So all the hotels are paid for and whatnot. You'll still be responsible for your own flights. But again, I think that is still an incredible opportunity, even if you're paying for your flights to join some of these fam trips. And then there's the paid participation. There's a lot of folks who are still wanting to learn more about it, and hopefully with that knowledge expand and grow their boarding school pipeline of students. So this may be a great investment on the front end for you to pay for this, go on these fam trips, learn more about the boarding schools, and that fee is only going to cost you around $1,800. So still a wonderful opportunity. And our marketing team is wonderful in keeping you guys abreast on when we're having these fam trips, so you're well aware of the time frame and the schools that we'll be visiting. And I'm going to move over now to the convention, but after I'm finished here, we'll go to a Q&A session in case anybody has some questions. So if you have questions on the fam trips, jot that down, and afterwards we can dive into it. So next, I want to talk about the TIBSO convention. To me, the TIBSO convention is one of the most popular events that we have every year. It's one of the largest as well. We can have up to 70 different participants around the world, and I think it's one of the largest, if not the largest, boarding school focused convention. That's all it is, and so it's a lot different than, say, an ST Alpha or an ISEF. We still go to those as well. I feel like they still have their value. But if you're really looking to focus and learn more about the boarding school world, our convention is the convention to go to. There's no doubt about that. You're connecting with scores of boarding schools that are there. You're connecting with a lot of ABC staff. A lot of our ABC staff is there, which is wonderful. So you get to be more accustomed to our staff and those who are in charge of certain things. With our program managers, country managers in Brazil or across Europe or Vietnam or China, you'll be able to connect with them. But we've done this for many, many years. And with ABC staff, we've been doing this in very different locations around the world. I'll just kind of move over here. There we go. We choose a nice location every year. Last year was in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. If you guys are not familiar with Cabo, it's a beautiful, beautiful location right on the ocean in Mexico. But we've had it in different areas around the world in the past. Last year we had it in in Split, Croatia. We've had it in Thailand in the past. We've had it in Cancun. So we try to have a nice, relaxing location. And kind of how this is ran is similar to some of these other conventions you may be similar with. We have a welcome reception. But because this is a lot more pointed towards boarding schools, we like to have some breakout sessions, not only for professional development, where we can look at market trends more specifically geared towards boarding schools, but we're also looking at product training. This, I think, a lot of agents find really helpful. I've had, last year in Cabo, I had conversations with agents afterwards, and agents who have been working with us for a while. And they came out of these product development sessions and they said, I knew that these programs existed. I knew about Scholars Program, for example. I knew about Fast Track, for example. But they said, I was busy. I didn't have time to really dive into it. And they said after the product development session, they said, this is an incredible product. I didn't really realize it before, but this is an incredible product that we can take advantage of in the market. And that is true. These products are something like Scholars Program, something like Fast Track Program, where these are all inclusive prices at really big discounts, sometimes up to 50, 60%, sometimes even more than that, 70% off of the sticker price. To learn more about this, how this is ran, I think is vital for your guys' success in your own markets. And then, of course, we always do the speed dating. So you're meeting with these boarding schools, in 25-minute slots to learn more about them. Let's see here. For me, again, this gives you an opportunity to build trust and to get to know a large number of boarding schools in one setting. But there's a lot of unofficial networking that goes on as well. I think we try to design some group activities, for example. For me, it's nice that the agent speed dating because you're learning about the specific programs of each one of these schools. At the same time, we feel like it's just as important that you get to know the boarding schools on a personal level just as much as we do. Again, to build that trust. So we like to do some activities where you get to actually collaborate with these boarding school representatives on a personal level. So last year we did a fun little activity at the last half day of the convention where it was a cocktail making competition. So we put agents and schools together on teams, and we gave you a select ingredients, and everybody had to make their own cocktail. It was a lot of fun, but it was the core purpose of that was to build these relationships with the boarding schools. In the past, we've done a mini Olympics where we had volleyball teams, we had soccer teams set up, small games with whoever won would get a grand prize. But again, we put agents and schools together to collaborate on those sports teams. So it's a lot of fun, but you're learning a lot at the same time during the convention. But overall, you're meeting a lot of these schools, you're learning a lot about the products. But overall, I think one of the main goals here is for you to better understand the boarding school industry in general and what makes boarding schools so different than, say, a public school or a regular private school, for that matter. The amount of agents that I've met with in the last decade who said, I know boarding schools are great, but when I have a family come in and say, why am I paying this price for a private boarding school where this public school is, 20% of that price? And they say, oftentimes I'm not really sure what to say. It's a private school, it's a good school, it's boarding. Okay, but by coming to the convention, you got specific talking points that make sense in your market. And you're understanding that by attending this convention. One of the best examples is, years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we had the convention in Cancun, and I had an agent in Germany who's really interested to come. He had done day school placements and stuff like that for a long time, but he was wanting to kind of get into the boarding school industry. And he came to Cancun the first year, and I think the previous year he had sent 1 or 2 kids to boarding through our programs. After that convention, he came to me and he said, Paul, I get it. I understand it now. I know I have a game plan. I'm going to go back to Germany and I'm going to start promoting these boarding schools in a way that I know is going to be successful. And, he was really enthusiastic about it. And I thought, okay, that's great. To be honest, I wasn't so I wasn't so sold on the fact that he was gonna, make such a huge change within a year. But within that 1 year, he went from sending 2 students to us to I believe 15, and it only grew after that. And so that is a testament to how powerful this can be coming to the convention. Just not meeting individual schools, but by learning overall how this industry functions and what makes it so special. I think that's a major point. But also there's a lot of collaboration that can go on between us and you guys after the convention. We do a lot of road shows, for example. If you're not familiar with road shows, we actually can come to your home markets, to your hometown, traveling with 6 or 7 boarding school representatives. And we can co-host a student event, something more boutique, but we can come in with these 6 or 7 schools. Your families can meet directly in an intimate setting with the boarding school, and they can conduct an interview right there, whether it's in a hotel ballroom or whether it's in your own office or whatever that is. But we want to be effective in this. We want to bring schools that make sense for your market. We don't want to bring a school that is either not even close to the price range or doesn't offer any programs that would be that would be suitable for your clientele. So that's where we can use the convention. That has a positive effects even afterwards, because we can collaborate with you and ask you, hey, what schools did you meet during the convention that you believe are going to be successful in your market? And you name us 3 or 4, we can go back to those schools and say, hey, you know what? We have a wonderful start. We have some good momentum with your school in this market. Let's go ahead and let's do a roadshow together. So what I'm saying is, by collaborating with you guys, we can bring schools that make sense to our roadshows in your own market, and that only benefits you, right? Because now you're able to promote schools that are successful in your market, and overall, you're getting more enrollments over time. So that's kind of where the magic happens there. Let's see. I think I went backwards here. There we go. Yeah, same thing here. I went over most of this already. Finding schools that are a better fit for your own market, fine tuning your own promotions in your home markets, whatever makes sense for some of these boarding schools to promote. In the past, we've had many different kinds of schools. These are the schools that attended last year. But if we had a more comprehensive list of schools who've attended in the last 5 or 6 years, this would be much, much larger. And what I think is the biggest takeaway from this list is that we have schools that are, top ranked or have some of the best athletic programs in the country. Right. I mean, we have Stony Brook, which is a great, highly ranked school just outside of New York. Shattuck St. Mary, which has one of, if not the best hockey team in the entire country. Most of their kids will go on and play D1 university level, and they have a lot of alumni that have played professionally in the hockey leagues in the United States. And then we have schools that are based in our fast track or even our scholars program that are offering massive discounts. So it's not just one kind of boarding school that's attending our convention. It's a whole host, it's a whole variety of schools, from top ranked to very affordable to schools based in California or the East Coast, or schools based in the Midwest or the Deep South. So this gives you a wide spectrum of schools that you can consider for your own clientele. Same thing. There's a qualification criteria for you to attend our convention. For free participation, we ask at least just 4 successful students enrolled through ABC Education Group. For partially paid, if you get at least 2 students, then there'll be some costs related to your flights. But again, the accommodation is complimentary. And for paid participation, if you want to attend, it's going to be around $1,500 overall to attend, and that's in addition to your flights. But for me, I've been running this convention for many years, and it's only gotten bigger. It's gotten more effective, and the positives that I've seen come out of this, both from the boarding schools and both on the agent side, is something that that is, I think, really anticipated by everybody every year, and we hope to grow this even more this coming year. We haven't unveiled the destination yet. for this coming year. Every year it's in September, at the end of September, but most likely we're going to return back to Europe is where we're going to be having the convention. Again, last year was in Mexico. So this next September, you can bank on the fact that this will be back in Europe. Okay, I think I may have sped through that a bit. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them if I can.
Hi, Paul. How is it going for you? Hi, everybody.
Luke.
It's Luke from the country of Georgia.
Yes. Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. And thank you for this
Good.
wonderful presentation that you made for us. And I also would like to say a few words because we're the agency in Georgia and we had a CEO, Rusa, who actually visited one of those trips, one of those events that you made in Cancun, Mexico. And she loved it. And it was so nice. We are so grateful for those trips. And we made so productive, fruitful cooperations throughout these years, with those schools. And you said it right, those face-to-face meetings are always very productive, and we made a huge progress in this regards. We had some students for those schools, and yeah, I just want to say thank you for those trips, and those were very professional, very highly organized trips that you made for us.
Thank you so much. And I'll say it's been at least 2 years since we did the event with you guys in Belize, in Georgia.
Yeah, and that was then we hosted a great event in Georgia, and those schools came to Georgia, and yeah, it was a fantastic time back then. And yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember it was a fantastic turnout. We had a lot of students in the room, packed room, and I got to say, it's not that much of a challenge to convince schools to go to Georgia. I think anybody who goes to Georgia leaves with a very big smile and probably 2 kilos heavier than when they arrived. The food there is fantastic, and the market there is amazing. The kids are great.
Yeah, exactly. And when students come to your office, right, you can say that, hey, I've been there, I've met those schools, I know them in person, and that gives you so much credibility and trust, from the families, from the students. That's a big step forward, right? And that's how they can distinguish you from other competitors. That's how you can be special because you know them in person, you've met them, and there's always a space for you to negotiate. Maybe that you can bring the price down or something. It's very productive for those who are attending those kind of events.
Yeah, completely agree. I think the effect that has on a family, if you just sat there and you have a brochure versus you showing them your own personal videos, your own personal photos of you being on campus, gives you a lot more credit as an authority on the school and whether or not it's going to be a good fit. Yeah, totally agree.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Luke. Any other questions on fam trips or convention? Or any comments on from ABC staff at all regarding the fam trip or convention? Any insight? I must have covered the information pretty thoroughly then. That's great. So I'll end off just by giving you a heads up on the next upcoming webinar, and this will be a webinar in one of our partner schools on Archbishop Riordan High School, and that'll take place December 17th. So that'll be a full training on our partner school, their programs, again, what type of school they are, the environment, and what type of student would do well. And if this fits your clientele, fantastic. But I urge everyone to attend this webinar. And I think we will leave it there. And I just want to thank everybody for your time. It's been a pleasure. And if there is any additional questions for me afterwards,